Grab your creepiest mask and cuddle your favorite wolf hide. We're talking The Order, Netflix's newest supernatural teen drama binge. The show has quietly garnered a cult following since its March debut. It even has 100% critic ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. Pretty high praise for a show that revolves around a secret magical society and the werewolves tasked with reining it in. The Order shares similarities with other genre shows like The Magicians, Teen Wolf, and Netflix's Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Yet it also has a style all of its own, which includes a substantial dollop of humor, as well as twists and surprises in almost every episode. In this video, we're untangling that ending, including the cliffhanger that resets everything. Then, we'll look at what could happen in an already announced Season 2. No big surprise, there are spoilers ahead. Let's start off with the Season 1 recap. The Order centers around Jack Morton. Jack has spent the better part of his life being groomed by his grandfather to be an instrument of vengeance. Jack's mother, Chloe, took her own life some time ago, and both Jack's grandfather, Pops, and Jack himself blamed Jack's father, Edward Coventry, for what happened. However, Edward has no idea Jack exists, and it's never revealed why Pops and Jack believe he's responsible. Still, Jack and Pops have concocted an elaborate plan to maneuver Jack into Edward's orbit. Step 1. Get into the nearby college. Step 2. Join the campus secret society, the Hermetic Order of the Blue Rose. Edward is a part of the Order, so membership should let Jack get close to Edward. Fortunately for Jack, he pulls the first 2 steps of the plan off with barely a hitch, or at least none that he doesn't find his way around. After that though, things get weird. Jack and Pops believe the Order was a secret society along the lines of Yale's Skull and Bones, yet it turns out it's a little different than they expected. That's because it's magical, literally. Suddenly, Jack finds himself in a whole new world of possibilities he never imagined. Those possibilities also include another member of the Order, Alyssa Drake. Alyssa is Jack's mentor and love interest. Of course, Jack also learns that getting to Edward is actually a lot easier than he and Pops seem to believe that it would be. Jack soon discovers that Edward is the Grand Magus of the Order. At the same time as Jack is getting deeper into the Order, he learns that werewolves are real, and before he knows what's happening, he becomes one. Whoops. The Order's werewolf mythology is a little different from most werewolf stories. There's no biting or uncontrollable rages around the full moon. Instead, a person becomes a werewolf by fusing with a set of wolf's hides. Those hides all have names and characteristics of their own. Once they fuse with a host, the person can learn to change into a wolf at will and harness the power and traits of their hide. It's considered an honor to become a werewolf in the world of the Order. And when you do, you earn membership into the other mystical secret society on campus, the Knights of St. Christopher. This brotherhood, gender-neutral collective of werewolves works together to thwart and eradicate dark magic. The werewolves even hear a high-pitched alarm when someone performs magic nearby. Currently, the Knights are made up of Hamish, Lilith, and Jack's RA, Randall. None of them have a deep understanding of the Knights' history, but at least they're enthusiastic about their mission. The thing is, people are usually given a choice before joining the Knights. Jack wasn't so lucky. Nevertheless, the Knights want him to pledge his allegiance to their organization. Soon, Jack's a double agent maintaining his place in the Order while providing the Knights with information. Meanwhile, at the Order, we learn that Edward is pursuing his own agenda. He wants to reconstruct a book called the Vade Mecum Infernal. The Vade Mecum is the key to ultimate power. Anyone who's willing to perform the rituals and bond with it will be able to perform any magic they want without the typical price. See, magic usually requires a sacrifice of some kind. This is why the members of the Order are always cutting themselves to perform basic spells. We even see what happens when a sacrifice isn't made. Such a big reward comes at a steep price. In order to bind the book to the magician, a sacrifice must be made, the magician's firstborn son. It turns out that while Edward is a charismatic leader, he's also a power-hungry monster who's more than willing to pay that price. That's where the Order ramps up to its mile-a-minute ending. Now, let's talk about the ending. The last episode of the Order's first season focuses on the fight against Edward and his quest to finalize his bond with the Vade Mecum. He's already started to amass amazing power from his association with the book, a reality that's brutally demonstrated when he instantly snaps Pops out of existence with just a wave of his hand in the prior episode. The stakes of the fight lead to some strange alliances. In addition to Jack and the Knights of St. Christopher, Alyssa joins the team, and so does Vera Stone, the leader of Belgrave's chapter of the Order. To prevent Edward from completing the ritual, Hamish and Randall kidnap Edward's son, Maddox. Edward intends to sacrifice Maddox as the last step in his merging with the Veda Makam because he has no idea that Maddox actually isn't his firstborn son. The group considers letting Edward sacrifice Maddox anyway, since the incorrect sacrifice would bring Edward's plan to an end. That would mean the demise of a young boy though, so the group finds another way. Vera uses the Knight's Reliquary to create Nephilim Tears, a potion that strips magical objects of their enchantments. Meanwhile, Jack strikes a deal with Edward to bring his firstborn son to him in exchange for Edward's promise not to hurt his friends. When the time comes, Jack shows up without Maddox to Edward's surprise. Jack explains that he's Edward's real firstborn son. The news barely phases Edward. He instructs Jack to lie on a table and uses a knife from the Veda Makam to sacrifice the boy. It doesn't work. It's then that the real Jack reveals himself. He resurrected the golem Clay from earlier in the season to do his bidding. Clay was instructed to disguise himself as Jack and trick Edward. It worked like a charm, and because of the botched ritual, Edward dissolves into magical dust that settles into the book, trapping him. Vera and the Knights appear to use the Nephilim Tears to destroy the book. In the next scene, Vera, who's been elevated to Grand Magus, meets with Jack about his status in the Order. Jack wants to remain a member while also staying a werewolf and a knight. When the door to her office closes, Vera opens a drawer in her desk to reveal the Veda Makam she supposedly destroyed. After some bonding with the Knights, Jack goes to visit his mother in Pop's graves. And then comes the big twist that has the fans divided. Alyssa meets Jack at the cemetery. Alyssa brings up her concern that she and Jack live in two separate worlds because she's with the Order and he's with the Knights. Jack protests that he's with both the Order and the Knights, but Alyssa questions how long that can continue. Then she tells him she loves him. As he returns the declaration, she blows white powder in his face. The powder is the much discussed magic the Order uses to erase people's memories. Typically they use it to erase the memories of anyone who's been kicked out of the Order. In this case, the Order uses the powder to wipe the memories of all the Knights of St. Christopher. Vera uses her acolytes to pack up and remove all the magical items from the Knight's Reliquary. When Jack finally wakes up, Alyssa is there to help him. He has no idea what's going on. She resets his memories by informing him that his grandfather recently passed away from a stroke. As Alyssa turns to leave, Jack asks her for her name. Then he realizes something troubling. He doesn't know what his name is. Will Jack's knowledge of who he is return, or did Alyssa dose him with too much powder? It's a cliffhanger that resets the entire series. However, the Knights do remain werewolves. That has the potential to be a rude awakening when they realize they aren't completely human. So, what could all this mean for Season 2? Many fans were caught off guard by the big finale twist and were less than pleased at the cliffhanger. Clearly, the first order of business in the second season will be addressing that last-minute surprise. Almost all the theories about Season 2 start with Jack and the other Knights getting their memories back. Given they're all still werewolves and will hear ringing when magic happens, it seems likely that they might find each other quickly. Plus, Hamish, Randall, and Lilith all learned how to restore memories earlier in Season 1. Once the Knights' memories return, it could set up the Order versus Knights battle Alyssa said she feared. When the second season pickup was announced, the only cast members that were confirmed to be returning were Jake Manley, who plays Jack, and Sarah Gray, who plays Alyssa. That means it's possible that we won't see any of the other characters that we got to know in Season 1. The video Netflix released to announce the Order's Season 2 renewal contained an important scene from Season 1. It was the scene from the finale in which the Knights, Alyssa, and Vera supposedly destroy the Veda Makam with Nephilim Tears. Why would Netflix choose this particular scene? There's also speculation that despite his defeat, Edward could return in Season 2. After all, we know from the middle of the season that people can be resurrected out of the book. Furthermore, even if Jack doesn't remember Alyssa, Alyssa remembers Jack. So one theory proposes that Alyssa could seek Jack out again for help. At this point, we're left with a lot of additional open questions too. We still don't know exactly what happened between Jack's mom and Edward, or much about Alyssa's backstory and why her desire to separate herself from her family drove her into the Order. We also know very little about the history of the Knights of St. Christopher and how they came to be. Hopefully, Season 2 will see the Order delve further into these things. Of course, only time will tell what Season 2 will be about. In the meantime, all we can do is theorize. What do you think of the Order's first season ending? Are there any storylines you hope the series will tackle in Season 2? Tell us in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and let us know. Thanks for watching.